Welcome to another edition of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Crayden. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you're able to watch House of Commons live with me. It is chaotic right now in the House of Commons, and Canada is going to hell in a handbasket. And I'll be right back to tell you why.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
All right, some very strange questions today from the leader of the official opposition, Pierre Poilievre, also known as the leader of the Conservative Party. He led off with questions about the climate change and suggesting the Liberals weren't doing enough. I think he was trying to say that the carbon tax is doing nothing, and it isn't, because the carbon tax, even if it was fighting climate change, it would not be affecting the global carbon footprint because Canada produces only 1.4% of global gas emissions. And the point is, the carbon tax is a sham. It's not fighting climate change. It's just making life more expensive. That's all it's doing. We're still buying gasoline to go to work, to travel anywhere. We're still heating our homes. It's just costing more. But it's not prohibiting people from using these fuels. This is absolute nonsense. And the Liberals know this. Believe me, they know this. But there's a worse crisis facing Canadians right now, even more existential than climate change. And it's the fact that Justin Trudeau is aligning himself with the separatist bloc. He won this vote the other day in the House of Commons against the Conservative motion to take the carbon tax off of all home heating fuel, not just heating oil that affects largely people in Atlantic Canada, where Trudeau's worried about losing seats, but all home heating fuel, including propane and natural gas. Trudeau didn't want to do that. And he sought an alliance with the bloc. And apparently that alliance is good for more than just one vote. This is a formal sort of coalition, just like he's got going with the NDP. So this is where we're at in Canada. If Trudeau wants to stay in power, he appeals to the socialists on the left and the separatists on the right. I don't mean politically speaking, but he's got both options now. He has got a loose coalition, an informal coalition, if you will, an informal alliance with both of these. But how can you be a federalist government? How can you be a federalist party in league with a separatist party? I want you to listen to this exchange from yesterday's question period. I think it's quite enlightening.
Prime Minister is not worth the cost or the division after 8 years. Panicking under pressure from MPs in a region where he's plummeting in the polls, he'd paused the tax for some people in some places, but his minister said that other people should have voted Liberal if they wanted the same break. Now the panicking Prime Minister is further dividing the country with the confirmation from his Environment Minister that he's now in a coalition with the Bloc, the Separatist Party. So we have a costly carbon tax coalition that includes the Separatists. What did he promise the Separatists to get them to sign on to keeping him in power for 2 more years?
Now, you think you're going to get an answer here from Justin? Watch where he goes. Don't want to talk about it.
Le très honorable Premier Ministre.
The right honourable Prime Minister.
Only division in this country as to whether or not we should be doing everything we can to fight climate change is within the Conservative Party. The Canadians are unequivocal that we need to fight climate change and we need to support Canadians through that. That's why our price on pollution returns hundreds of dollars every 3 months to the average family of 4, while fighting climate change and watching our curve bend faster over the past 2 years than the other G7 countries. We will continue to hold Canadians together as we fight climate change while Conservatives continue to bring us backwards.
All right. First of all, the question had nothing to do with that. The question was, what kind of coalition have you got going with the separatist bloc? Trudeau doesn't want to answer that. He wants to talk about this garbage about us getting more money back in our pockets from the carbon tax than we're putting in. This is nonsense. This is rubbish. He knows it. These are lies, lies, lies. Everything he's saying here is a complete fabrication, but he's not answering the question. And don't give me this BS about carbon dioxide being pollution. It's not. If you think that's pollution, you haven't got a clue in hell what pollution is.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's own Environment Commissioner confirmed he will not hit his own targets, and the Prime Minister has admitted that his carbon tax is not worth the cost for oil-heated homes. Now, he did that to save his political hide, but his desperation went one step further this week when he relied on the Separatists to vote with him to quadruple the tax on home heating for everyone else in Canada. So the question is very clear. What did he promise the Separatists to get their support to save his political hide and quadruple his tax?
Okay, is that clear to you? Very clear question. What is he going to give the separatist Bloc Quebecois in return for their support to keep him in power, to keep propping up this weak, lame, febrile Liberal government? What's he going to give them? You think he's going to answer? Let's see.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, no matter how much the Conservatives try to deny it, every single day in this country, we get closer to never using coal to generate electricity again. And now, Mr. Speaker, we're choosing to phase out home heating oil, which is dirtier, more expensive, and disproportionately relied on by lower-income Canadians. The Conservatives may try to make up all the stuff they like, but the reality is replacing home heating oil is good for Canadians when we put in heat pumps, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Okay, once again, he refuses to answer the question, doesn't want to talk about it. Obviously, he's given them something. He talks about a green future for the Bloc Quebecois. That means he's given them money. When Trudeau talks about green, he's usually not talking about the environment. He's talking about money. That's really what he's gifting them here. So, and heat pumps, give me a break. They don't work in most parts of the country in winter, where it goes down to -30 to -40. These heat pumps do not work effectively or at all in temperatures below -15 degrees Celsius. Trudeau knows that. If he doesn't, he's a fool. If he doesn't, he's a liar. And he knows fully that these heat pumps are not a panacea. They're not even a solution. What they are is a cruel joke. So what else happened in question period yesterday? This is very significant.
Mr. Speaker, so I was sitting. I'm a Liberal and a proud socialist, Mr. Speaker, but this reminds me of a certain quote from Prime Minister Harper, who talked about the fight against climate change as a socialist plot. That's what the Conservative Party, and here it is, you have it again, Mr. Speaker. They do not believe that climate change is an issue. They do not believe we should do anything about it. They oppose electrification of transportation. They oppose...
All right, so, excuse me? You're a proud socialist? What do you think the contributors of the Liberal Party are going to say about that? What do you think they are going to say about that? I can tell you what they're going to say. I thought you were a free enterprise party. You're not a free enterprise party? You're not. Well, maybe we should stop donating. Maybe we should stop giving you money, because it seems to be a problem. Now, Guilbeault said this on Tuesday. He was not up in the House yesterday to talk about anything. You can bet he got a dressing down. Don't tell the truth. Don't tell them we're a socialist party. We're going to lose our contributions from Bay Street and from all those millionaires who keep donating to the Liberal Party. They don't want that to be known. Obviously, Guilbeault is a... Yes, and I love this. Dan McTeague put this out yesterday. Trudeau Environment. He says he's a proud socialist. Yeah. But interestingly enough, when I was talking to Dan McTeague, former Liberal MP from the Scarborough riding, he was there for about 18 years. He told me that he views the Environment and Climate Change Minister, Stephen Guilbeault, as a Manchurian candidate. He says he's a Marxist. So forget about just being a proud socialist. He's a proud Marxist. He's at least a closet Marxist. We know that. Because we know what Trudeau is up to here. This guy would never have had a job outside of Greenpeace, except he's been taken into the Liberal cabinet. He's an environmental extremist. He used to work for Greenpeace, which is an environmental terrorist group. And all he was a stuntman for Greenpeace. Now he's a stuntman for the Liberal Party of Canada and the Liberal government. And he threatens Canadians on a daily basis. How does he threaten them? He says he's going to turn off the lights. He's going to turn off the power. You can't use natural gas. You can't use hydroelectric. You can't use electricity. You can't use any fossil fuels because we're fighting climate change. And the ideology of fighting climate change is more important to him than human life, than human comfort. He wants to impoverish Canadians and make them suffer. That's why the carbon tax is punitive. And that's all this man is about. But getting back to this guy could be just as comfortable sitting in the Bloc Quebecois, no question about that. But listen to what Jerry Ritz, former agriculture minister under Prime Minister Stephen Harper, told me yesterday about this unholy alliance between the Liberal Party and the Bloc.
It worries me that the Quebec tail can wag the rest of Canada's dog. We've always faced that. At the end of the day, they're the wild card, and Trudeau will play that every chance he gets.
Yes, he will. But the question you have to ask yourself is Trudeau even a federalist anymore? Why is he using the separatists just to stay in power? This is a frightening thing. Even his father, for all of his faults and failings, and no, I was not a fan of Pierre Trudeau, but at least he was a separatist who would never have worked with, he was a federalist who would never work with separatists. He stuck to one thing in terms of principle. His son, Justin, has no principles. And believe me, what worries me about this is that Justin Trudeau seems to be maneuvering, positioning himself so that there will be no election in 2 years. He not only wants to survive until 2025, I believe he will exploit the problems and the pressures in the world, from the war in Ukraine and the war in the Middle East, to environmental catastrophe, to economic disaster, to whatever he finds, to the increasing divisions in Canada that he has created, to the riots in the streets, to euthanasia, and to the censorship program he's creating to create a hysteria about disinformation. He will use all of these phenomena to justify holding on to power, so we don't have an election in 2 years. So we postpone that election perhaps indefinitely. You think this can't happen in Canada? I believe it can, because Justin Trudeau is an authoritarian, dictatorial leader who doesn't believe in basic democratic values. He rejects free speech. He punishes freedom of assembly, aka peaceful protest against the Justin Trudeau regime. So if you think it can't happen in Canada, it can. If you think this is beyond something Canada can accommodate, think again. It's happened historically. It can happen very quickly. It happens incrementally. It has been happening incrementally during 8 years of Justin Trudeau's regime. So we are in dangerous waters. As I've said now, a multitude of times. There's the online safety bill coming next in terms of his censorship bills, his censorship legislation. It's a three-parter, folks, C11, C18, and the yet as unnumbered Online Safety Act, which will make disinformation a crime, and the Liberal government will define what disinformation is. If you like this broadcast, please like it now, and please subscribe, hit the button, and please help us financially. I'm reaching out to you today because we need your support. These are difficult times. These are difficult times for anybody, but these are hard times for new media. We are under assault by this Liberal government. We are under attack by this Trudeau government. I ask you for your support in any way you can. You can help us on YouTube. You can help us on Buy Me a Coffee. You can help us on my Substack. It's davidkrayden.substack. Please help us in any way you can. We are appealing to you today because we are under attack and assault by the Trudeau government. We want to keep bringing you the news that you want to hear. We want to keep bringing you the information that you need to hear. We want to keep bringing the news to you that the mainstream media, the legacy media, is not necessarily reporting. And we need to keep doing that. Thank you today for your support. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for being a part of this broadcast and being a part of this Stand on Guard family. Because when you tune in today, when you tune in any day to this Craydon's Right station, to this broadcast, you're saying, I am going to resolve to resist authoritarianism in Canada. I am going to resolve to resist Justin Trudeau's dictatorial ways. I am going to resolve to resist censorship. I am going to resolve to resist euthanasia, otherwise known as medical assistance in dying. I am going to resolve to resist the cult of death that the Liberal government is promoting in Canada. And I am going to promote freedom and free speech, freedom of assembly, and a free press. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll be back again tomorrow with more information that